What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the next Battlefield game really quickly and just talk about how this statement just doesn't make me feel all that great on this game. I don't know. It kind of just ticks me off. Look, when it comes to Battlefield or Call of Duty, I've always leaned, or at least maybe over the last 10, 12 years, I've leaned Battlefield. They're not perfect, but, as I started to get into my teenage years, like Battlefield was the multiplayer game or the multiplayer shooter game, at least for me. I have very fond memories of playing Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4. Bad Companies, of course, were fantastic, and I took a look back at Bad Company 2 before they brutally killed those games this past year. So it means a lot to me, and 2042, it did not go the way I think many of us want. I'm still bitter because of Star Wars Battlefront, but again, this quote, and we're going to read this right here. So I tweeted, I just got pretty mad at it. Came from Jeff Keighley. In today's earnings call, EA CEO Andrew Wilson, we all know him well, says he has been playing the next Battlefield game with the development team, and it will be a tremendous live service. So it's 3 words, tremendous live service. And I think it went into a little bit more detail. Like, he's been playing the game a lot recently, and this game is probably coming out not this fall, but probably like next fall, right? So we still have a bit of a wait for it. But for me, this is just how I feel, okay? When you lead with that, and it's not shocking that he would lead with that, but when you lead with that, that just rubs me the wrong way. After everything we've been through as an industry, from Battlefield just itself, it's just not the leading statement. And is that like the be-all, end-all? Not necessarily, but there's a lot of people that don't very much like Andrew Wilson. I don't think he's the greatest CEO of all time. I actually agree. I saw some comments on Twitter where it's like, look, if EA didn't have the Ultimate Teams in sports games, if EA didn't have like Apex Legends, EA would be in a whole lot worse of a spot right now than they really are. Now, at the end of the day, like, they do have those things. It's hard to say, well, what if this, what if that? They make $1 billion on FIFA yearly because people, for some reason, keep giving them money. They make $1 billion from Madden annually or yearly because people, again, can't stop giving them money. Ultimately, it is what it is. But I guess where I come from in terms of like this specific comment for this specific Battlefield game, we just went through a Battlefield disaster. And to be honest with you, Battlefield is probably in the weakest place that it's been in a very long time. The opportunity to strike is also now. It's actually kind of funny because if there's any time to strike at a Call of Duty franchise, and it's not to pit them always against each other, but if you just think about, again, that first-person kind of shooter thing, there's always, I think, actually an opportunity because, yes, a Call of Duty, let's say, it always sells very, very well, but Call of Duty has been struggling, I would say, in terms of quality for quite some time. But at the same time, here's to be fair, Battlefield has been struggling with quality for quite some time. We haven't gotten a good Battlefield game in a while, in like 7, 8 years, right? So it's been a long time, but the opportunity to strike is still now. So it's like, I hope that somebody can kind of just like grab the reins and take it and run with it. But ultimately, like, we all just keep like chasing our tail here with Call of Duty that's not really improving, and with Battlefield. But specifically what we just did, we just got Battlefield 2042, and that is the game that put Battlefield in the worst spot that maybe it's ever been, okay? And you could maybe argue it, but I would feel pretty confident in saying that. And so what made Battlefield 2042 so, there was a lot of things that hurt that game quite a bit. I would argue one thing that has been lacking, maybe primarily from Battlefield and maybe primarily from 2042, a complete game. When these games come out, and this is an industry problem, this is an EA problem, this is a Battlefield problem, this is an all of the above problem, right? We've got to stop having like partial games when they release, but sometimes they're more like egregious depending on which genre you're talking about. So when you're talking about like a Battlefield game, it's got to come out as like a full product. So what ticks me off with the comment is that he leads with, it's a tremendous live service, which, what does that mean? Well, it means that this is going to be a game. Actually, to me, it reads, this is going to be a game that makes us an unbelievable amount of money for as long as we can, literally, as long as we can stretch this game out, as long as we can keep having you guys reach into your purses and wallets and pulling out that credit card, as long as you suckers keep doing that, and as long as we can stretch this game out, we're going to do it. I mean, you tell me where that's wrong, because you'd say, well, Alex, that's a little extreme. I just mentioned the Ultimate Team with FIFA and Madden and NHL and all of these games. Like, they make a lot of money long term. They do make a lot of money, I guess, like at the initial launch of it. And I mean, look, EA it's flawed. It's not flawed all across the board. Like the Jedi games, of course, are very good. And, they have things here and there. BioWare hopefully is on the up and up. In fact, I believe in that earnings call, it was very much hinted that Dragon Age Dreadwolf is coming out in the next like 11 or so months from now. So that within the next 11 months. So that is cool. And there's some positives there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you tell me where that's wrong, because I just feel when you lead with it's going to be a tremendous live service game, like what else are you saying? You're saying this is going to be a game that's going to do so well over time. Now, in a perfect world, I guess, for them, and in a perfect world, actually, I guess, for all of us, when it comes to a first-person shooter of Call of Duty or of Battlefield or of that kind of ilk, right? You want it to come out and be engaging and be something that people immediately play, and then you want to have a plan in place to keep people playing it for I guess, to be fair, as long as you possibly can. The thing with the modern day, the thing with modern EA, the thing with modern Battlefield is that maybe it picks up. Like 2042 has turned some corners. I wouldn't say like it's necessarily saved itself. But again, like if you miss that first part, you don't get to the last part. You don't get to, oh, this is going to be a great live service game. How about you be a good game first, and then you can make it a live service game kind of after, or you can have that plan in place and just put it in at. You know what I mean? And yes, it's easier said than done, but I would have liked to have heard him say, this is just going to be a tremendous video game. You're going to play it day one, and you're going to really, really love it day one. And then, if you want to keep playing it for like the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to have a plan in place to do that. Instead, it's, oh yeah, again, this is a game that's going to make us a lot of money over a long period of time. Hey, I got a news flash for you. And again, 2042 actually proved this. If you don't start out well, yes, there are redemption stories. Actually, EA and DICE did it with Battlefront 2. But not all games have redemption stories. Some games don't have their redemption arc, and some games don't fully recover. And I believe 2042 is kind of one of those games. It's not absolutely dead in the water, but it never did that like Cyberpunk recovery thing. It never did the Battlefront recovery thing. There's a couple games, No Man's Sky. There's a couple games that have really just completely turned it around. And in some ways, you've seen like the Halo Infinites turn around a little. You've seen Battlefield turn around a little, but it's never like, you know what I mean? It's never reached that where it's like, okay, you can make a video and say the redemption story of 2024, it's here and it's Battlefield 2042. It didn't happen. So I pray and I hope that the next Battlefield game, you got to nail it at launch. I could care less about the game 2 years down the line, just like I could care less about 2042 2 years down the line. The game wasn't good at launch. It wasn't enough. And again, there was other issues with it for sure, but they need to nail the launch. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.